Awesome, thank you. Well, thank you for that introduction, Lisa. As she mentioned, I am from My529, Utah's Educational Savings Plan. And for those of you who are not aware of what that is, about 25 years ago, there was legislation passed to create accounts for families to help them save for the cost of higher education. And these are accounts that are post-tax, very similar to a Roth IRA. That's typically the comparison that we make. So I'm going to just go over some high-level things about My529 today. This gives a little bit of an idea of the agenda that we're going to cover in the course of this half an hour. And again, any questions that come up, feel free to pipe in, or I can also address them at the end of the presentation as well. All right, so let's just start talking about 529 plans and My529 in particular. So as I mentioned, these plans were created to help people invest for higher education expenses. In the ensuing years, K-12 tuition expenses, registered apprenticeships, and student loan repayment up to $10,000 have also been added. They're similar to a Roth IRA, so the money goes into an account post-tax. Every state in the United States has a 529 plan, with the exception of Wyoming. My529 has been around for over 25 years, and we are recognized as one of the top plans in the country. We have some of the lowest fees, and we are direct sold. So what that means is you set the account up directly through us. Sometimes people will say, oh, am I opening it through a bank? We are not a bank. We actually are under the Utah system of higher education is where we reside, but we're our own entity. We're quasi-governmental. You don't need to involve a financial advisor or a third party unless you would like to. As I said, the Utah Board of Higher Education oversees our operations, and those are the highlights about us. Here are some things in terms of 529 essential. So there's some terminology that would probably be good to be familiarized with. So the account owner is the person who would open the account and controls the account. And then you'll have to list a beneficiary, and that is the person you're saving for. Typically, it's a child, it's a grandchild, it could even be for yourself. The account owners need to be at least 18 years old and have a social security or tax identification number and a physical address. The beneficiary can really be anybody you want to save for, although we see a lot of parents and grandparents opening these type of accounts. That's not to say, an aunt or an uncle, or, for your godchild or whomever you would like to save for. Every account has one designated beneficiary, so there's not going to be multiple beneficiaries attached to one account. So after you establish who the account owner is, the beneficiary in the account, then you're going to choose an investment option and contribute to the account. So one of the big reasons why people choose a 529 plan, let's say over just saving in a bank or credit union account, is the tax advantages attached to it. So we have an edge in the 529 industry over other savings vehicles. Earnings grow tax deferred from federal and Utah state taxes. When you withdraw the money, it's tax free. So any earnings on that investing that you're doing are going to be tax free. Also, there is a Utah state tax credit involved with being a Utah account owner and resident. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So here is the Utah tax benefits. And this chart essentially shows the cap per year in terms of the amount you could put into an account. So let's say you open an account and you put $21.30 if you're a single filer. That is the Utah state tax credit you'll earn. Now you can put more or you could put less money into the account. This is just the cap, and it's a 4.85% tax credit. And then again, if you're a joint filer, it's $42.60 is the cap on the contribution. and you can, earn up to $206.61 in terms of the credit. This also works for grantor trusts as a credit, and there's a deduction possible for corporations opening accounts on behalf of someone as well. Beneficiaries need to be 18 or younger when designated on the account. So what that means is if you're just opening an account for yourself and you're over 18, which you need to be an account owner, you would not be able to use this tax credit for yourself. However, if you are a parent or grandparent opening an account for a child, this credit is going to apply on the account as long as it's attached to that particular beneficiary. So if you open the account when the child's 5 and you continue to put money in the account, even after they've started college, maybe you're continuing to help them out through graduate school, you'll still continue to get that tax credit. So that is great to know. And just a reminder that tax credits are a dollar for dollar offset of your tax liability. Now, in terms of investing with My529, we do not give we don't give any sort of financial advice. So we do present all the options, and then hopefully you're savvy, or if you have a financial advisor or tax advisor, someone that can help you out to make those type of decisions, feel free to go that route. So during the account sign-up process, you will identify the account owner and beneficiary, and then you'll also be asked to select an investment option. So each My529 contribution you make is invested based on that investment option. We have 24 investment options that include stocks, bonds, principal preservation funds, or a combination. The investment options fall into 3 different categories. One is the enrollment date, and those are 12 options based on the beneficiary's estimated date of enrollment in higher education. Investments range from conservative to aggressive. Conservative means more use of bond funds or funds that preserve capital, like stable value or FDIC. While aggressive, meaning more equities or stock-based mutual funds, are used. Our enrollment date options are similar to a target date retirement fund, where the investment allocation is more aggressive with a younger beneficiary and becomes more conservative as a beneficiary moves closer to the estimated date of enrollment. Account owners have the flexibility to choose the enrollment option that aligns with their goals and risk tolerance and aren't tied to an option based on a beneficiary's age. There are also 10 static options ranging from aggressive to conservative. If you choose a static option, your investment keeps that allocation until you change it. So kind of think of an autopilot idea. There's 2 customized options where you can build your own investment allocation. So that's for someone who's a little bit more savvy. You could select how aggressive or conservative you want to be. And from our variety of investment options, you can choose the option that best meets your needs. When you open an account with My529, it is an investment. And as I stated previously, My529 does not provide investment advice. Funds invested in My529 are not guaranteed unless held in the FDIC insured accounts. As with any investment, there is a chance that your account could lose value. So just to keep that in mind. In terms of our fees, My529 has some of the lowest fees in the nation. My529 believes that keeping fees so low that your investment has more potential for growth. And we have consistently been praised by Morningstar, an independent investment firm, because of our low fee options. How to contribute. My529 makes it easy to contribute as much and as often as your budget allows. In this section, we'll discuss the different ways you can contribute and look at how even saving small amounts can add up toward your goal. Some of these are probably pretty intuitive, such as checks, electronic contributions, bill pay, special occasion, and payroll direct deposit contributions. In terms of direct deposit through your payroll, if your employer is able to support more than one direct deposit option, then you have the ability to do that. You could also set something up directly from your checking account if you want to have just an ongoing automatic contribution. I also want to draw attention to our gift program. And this is a great way for a family to give a gift that keeps on giving, the gift of education. So family can go and you actually set up a gifting code. So as the account owner, you would set up gifting and have a code that you could provide a family so that if they want to send a check in or to give money to an account, that they have this particular gifting code, so they don't have access to the actual account number. Now, any money that's contributed through, a family member, family friend, is going to go toward your potential tax credit. So any money going into the account is contributing to that. We also offer a free college savings estimator on our page. We work with a company out of Boston called Invite Ed, and this is free to the general public or to our account owners. So you could go in and take advantage of utilizing that as well.
Jenny, how would, if somebody has an education account with another state, how would they go about rolling it over into my 529?
And that's a great question. And something I usually mention more toward the end is just, because I get that question, what if I move out of state? Do I hold on to my My529 account? Because I mentioned that every state, with the exception of Wyoming, has a My520 or has a 529 plan. You want to look at the state that you're residing in first, like right now, just to see what kind of tax advantages you get. So every 529 is going to have that growth that is free of tax, both federal and state. However, there might be additional benefits like the tax credit that Utah offers. So if you are moving here from another state, you'll want to contact us about rolling over those funds. And our program description, which is located on our website, gives details on pretty much every topic that you can possibly think of. But that might be a good way to initiate it. Or I'm guessing, I haven't went through our new sign-up process, but there should be the ability to check that you're rolling over funds from another plan. And I believe there's a particular form to go about doing that. So I hope that helps.
I think.
Great. In terms of contribution growth, this is just to show that I think sometimes people feel overwhelmed, intimidated by the idea of saving for college. And really this is to depict that saving just even small amounts over time, and this is just assuming a 5% annual rate of return. You can visit our website and see what our investment options, how they've been performing over the last period of time, month, over the last few years, just to get an idea. But even small amounts can help pay for books or for room and board. Really, the message that we like to get out there is that paying for college is a combination of things, and we'll kind of talk about that more later. Every dollar you save means there's one less dollar to borrow and repay with interest. So that's just something to bear in mind. Okay, how to use the funds. I remember once speaking with someone at an event who was an account owner and didn't know they could use the funds outside of the state of Utah. They thought it was just for Utah educational institutions. And that's just not true. The money can be used any school that accepts federal student financial aid. So it's not limited to just Utah, and it's not necessarily what we think of a traditional four-year college, but it could be a technical school or a beauty school. And these pictures here kind of represent what the qualified education expenses are, and they can be used for tuition and required fees, room and board for students attending at least half-time, required books, supplies, and equipment, computers and computer-related costs, including internet access, registered apprenticeships, K through 12 tuition expenses up to $10,000 annually at public, private, or religious elementary or secondary schools, qualified education loan repayments up to a total of $10,000 lifetime from all 529 accounts. And it's good to bear in mind that you can't use 529 funds for transportation or for cell phones. Now, in terms of when you actually go to take out withdrawals when you start sending your beneficiary to college, we're not asking for proof that you are using your funds for these qualified education expenses, but it would be advisable to keep your receipts just in case you're audited. All right, this next slide, we just wanted to kind of show where My529 withdrawals, where people have used the money that they've saved. And you'll see that there is just a whole variety of different places, both public and private, that people have used this. It's all across the country. It tracks the withdrawals that My529 has sent directly to institutions in the United States. What it doesn't show is when My529 sends withdrawals to account owners or beneficiaries who then pay for their own expenses. Because when you do take a withdrawal, that money can go to the beneficiary to pay their expenses, to the account owner to reimburse after paying for different college expenses, or it can go directly to the school. So here we go. And then here's a sampling of some of the higher education schools in Utah where people have used My529 funds. So again, this is just to drill home that point that it's not just limited to whatever type of school you may envision as a college, but it's really broad in terms of its application. All right. We also put together here kind of a financial aid section. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this just for the sake of getting to any questions we may have, but really the idea here is that, and I'm just going to show you an estimated cost of attendance in Utah. So this is just an example of, what a year at a state university could potentially look like, and the different means of how a student could potentially pay for that. And so just showing really that the estimated cost of attendance at a school is a combination of things. So you have the total cost, you have potential federal grants and work study, you have scholarships that may come into the mix, and you also have potential student loan payments. And so maybe really there's $2,000 that you're saving for that particular year. Great. Excellent. All right, just a few things before we wrap up here. One big question I get a lot is, what if my child doesn't go to school? I think a lot of parents, clearly have the desire for their kids to go to school, but recognizing that that may not happen. And so in the event that a beneficiary does not go to school, this is what happens. So you can actually make a non-qualified withdrawal from your 529 account for anything not considered a qualified higher education expense. However, you will pay income taxes and a 10% federal penalty just on the earnings portion. So just as a reminder that this is a post-tax investment. Utah residents must also add back or claim the amount of withdrawal as income on their state tax return in the year they made the withdrawal. There are a few exceptions though. The penalty and add back do not apply if the beneficiary receives a scholarship up to the amount of the scholarship or attends a U.S. Service Academy. It also does not apply if the beneficiary dies or becomes disabled. There are no limits on My529 accounts. I think sometimes when we make the comparison to Roth IRA, we think of time because of that's retirement attached. However, if there are funds left over in an account, you can do the following things with them. You can leave the account open for your beneficiary's graduate expenses. You could transfer the funds at no cost to a member of the beneficiary's family. You could change the beneficiary on the account at no cost to a sibling or hold it over for a next generation or a grandchild. And in addition, the list of relatives that you can transfer 529 accounts to is even broader than what I mentioned. There's actually a pretty broad definition for that. The bottom line is the funds in the 529 plan are yours. And then I just wanted to talk about a couple of scholarship contests to be aware of. Our Book Your Summer bookmark, or our Book Your Summer, we call it Reading Award, kicked off May 1st. And it's a really easy entry point. So you just go to your local library, sign up for the summer reading plan, and then go to our bookyoursummer.com website and enter to win one of 4 $1,000 scholarships. So we're not even tracking the reading or anything like that. We just want to encourage, kids to continue to read over the summer. And then in September, during College Savings Month, we have a bookmark design contest, and we award 8 $1,000 scholarships in various grade categories for that. So those are both fun. You can check out our website under the promotions page, or go to bookyoursummer.com to get more information about that.
Does a person have to have a My529 account to enter those?
They do not. So there is no, we call it no purchase necessary. That's what our general counsel is. No purchase necessary. Just a reminder that there is no cost to open a My529 account, and there is no requirement in terms of ongoing contributions. So really it's designed for you to save when and how you're able to save. And I know I shared a promo code with HR, and so that's available for you. We have a $20 match available for employees to utilize. And that's a one-time match. So you could be opening 1 account or 10 accounts. And for each account you open, you can get that one-time match. And does anybody have any questions?
Looks like we have Gary, Grant, Morgan, and Sarah. Does anybody have any questions for Jenny? Always good to see you, Jenny. Thank you so much for the overview. I have these for my kids. I started them when they were born, and it's sadly, my financial advisor did not have me in. I don't know why he didn't have me invest in the Utah one. I am in Rhode Island, and I think it's like, why am I in Rhode Island? I know now why, because there were certain incentives given for people who donated, or excuse me, who opened accounts in Rhode Island. And I don't understand it. That's why I asked about the rollover too.
No, I'm guessing that was he connected to like Fidel, like one of the other.
Yes.
So,
yes.
And that's probably why I recently talked to a financial advisor. I won't name what firm to, protect their identity, but
right.
They said, I'm just not going to offer a disservice. I know Utah has a great plan. Even though it's not in my portfolio, I'm going to encourage Utah residents to open.
Because I get a higher kickback. Oh, I need to stop the recording.